So you're thinking about starting an Airbnb. It seems like the golden ticket to passive income, right? You see those beautiful, perfectly staged listings online. You scroll through the endless 5-star reviews, and you hear all those incredible success stories from people making thousands of dollars a month just by renting out a spare room or a vacation home. It seems so simple, so effortless. You start crunching the numbers in your head, picturing the cash flow hitting your bank account, and you think to yourself, I can totally do that with my place. But here's the reality check, and trust me, you need to hear this. A few simple, and I mean avoidable mistakes, can get your brand new business shut down, sometimes in its very first year. And that leaves you with nothing but a beautifully furnished and very, very empty property. Managing a whole portfolio of properties, from single-family homes to multi-unit apartment buildings. And a significant part of that has been navigating the world of short-term rentals. I've seen it all. I've seen countless new hosts, full of enthusiasm and optimism, jump into the Airbnb market headfirst, only to fail spectacularly. And here's the kicker. They almost never fail because they had a bad property or a terrible location. They fail because they didn't know the fundamental, non-negotiable rules of the game. They treat it like a casual side hobby, something they can just set up and forget about, and they get burned every single time. It's a painful lesson and an expensive one. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 critical rules you absolutely, positively have to know you even think about creating that listing before you buy a single piece of furniture, and certainly before you welcome your first guest. These aren't just helpful tips or friendly suggestions. These are the foundational pillars that will determine whether you build a sustainable, profitable business or a costly, stressful failure. We're going to go through everything, step by step, so you can avoid the landmines that take out 90% of new hosts. We're talking about the stuff that separates the amateurs from the pros, the dabblers from the serious investors who build real wealth with this strategy. And make sure you pay close attention, because the last rule we're going to cover, that's the secret sauce. That's the one that separates the hosts who barely break even from the ones who are consistently pulling in 6-figure revenues from their properties. It's a concept that almost every single beginner completely overlooks, and honestly, it's the most powerful lever you have for maximizing your income and dominating your local market. I guarantee that if you implement what I'm about to show you, you'll be miles ahead of the competition from day one. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. Let's get into it. Alright, let's dive straight into rule number 1, and this is the big one that trips up so many people right out of the gate. The law is not a suggestion, I cannot stress this enough. So many aspiring hosts get excited about the potential income. They start shopping for furniture, they get their photos taken, and they completely ignore the single most important step, ensuring their operation is 100% legal. They think they can just fly under the radar, that nobody will notice one little Airbnb in the neighborhood. This is a catastrophic mistake. Cities and municipalities are cracking down hard on illegal short-term rentals. They have dedicated enforcement teams, sophisticated software that scrapes listing sites, and neighbors who are more than happy to report you. Before you do anything else, and I mean, you need to become an expert on your local regulations. Your very first stop should be your city or county's official website. Look for departments related to planning, zoning, business licenses, or code enforcement. You're searching for ordinances specifically governing short-term rentals, vacation rentals, or transient occupancy. These documents are the rulebook for your business. They will tell you if Airbnbs are even allowed in your area, what specific zoning districts they're permitted in, and what type of permits or licenses you need to obtain. Ignoring this step is like trying to build a house without checking if the land is zoned for residential construction. It's a recipe for disaster. The permit process itself can be a journey. Some cities have a simple online application and a small fee, while others might require a more involved process, including inspections, notifying your neighbors, and proving you have adequate safety measures in place. You might need a general business license, a specific short-term rental permit, and a transient occupancy tax certificate. Each of these is a critical piece of the puzzle. Don't assume that just because you see other Airbnbs listed in your city that they are all operating legally, or that the rules that apply to them will apply to you. Regulations can be hyper-specific, sometimes changing from one block to the next. Do your own due diligence, make the phone calls, and get everything in writing. And here's a pro-tip: document every single step. Create a folder, either physical or digital, and save copies of every application you submit. every permit you receive and every piece of correspondence with the city. This isn't just for your own records, it's your proof of compliance. If a neighbor complains or a city official comes knocking, you can immediately present your documentation and show that you are operating a legitimate, fully licensed business. This level of organization and professionalism not only protects you legally, but also establishes the right mindset from the very beginning. You are not just a host, you are a business owner. Start acting like one from day one. Once you've navigated the maze of permits and zoning, it's time to face another certainty in life: taxes. This is the area where so many new hosts get into serious trouble, often without even realizing it until they receive a terrifying letter from the tax authorities. The income you earn from your Airbnb is not free money, it's business revenue, and you absolutely must report it and pay taxes on it. This includes federal income tax, state income tax, and the often overlooked local transient occupancy taxes, also known as hotel taxes or lodging taxes. These local taxes are a huge deal. Cities rely on this revenue, and they are extremely aggressive about collecting it. Let's break down the transient occupancy tax, or TOT. This is a tax that you, the host, are responsible for collecting from your guests and remitting to your local tax authority. It's typically a percentage of your listing price, and the rates can vary dramatically from one city to another, sometimes exceeding 15%. Some platforms like Airbnb might collect and remit this tax on your behalf in certain jurisdictions, but you can never ever assume this is the case. It is your ultimate responsibility to verify this. You need to go to your city or county's finance or tax collector's office website, register your business, and understand the exact process and schedule for remitting these taxes. Failing to do so can result in massive penalties, back taxes, and interest payments that can wipe out your profits. Beyond the local hotel taxes, you have your income taxes. It's absolutely critical to treat your Airbnb operation as a real business, which means meticulous record keeping. You need to track every single dollar of income and every single dollar of expenses. This includes your mortgage interest, property taxes, insurance, utilities, cleaning fees, supplies, maintenance, repairs, and even the depreciation of the property and its furnishings. Keeping detailed records isn't just for compliance, it's for your own financial health. By tracking your expenses, you can take legitimate deductions that will significantly lower your taxable income, allowing you to keep more of the money you earn. I recommend using accounting software like QuickBooks, or at the very least, a detailed spreadsheet from the moment you start. Don't try to be a hero and figure all of this out on your own, especially if you're new to business ownership. My advice is to find a certified public accountant, a CPA, who has specific experience with real estate and short-term rentals. The money you spend on their professional advice will pay for itself many times over. A good CPA can help you structure your business correctly, ensure you're compliant with all tax laws, identify every possible deduction you're entitled to, and help you plan for your tax obligations so you're not hit with a surprise bill. Investing in professional tax help is one of the smartest financial decisions you can make as an Airbnb host. It's a non-negotiable cost of doing business. Let's talk about protecting your assets. You might think that your standard homeowner's insurance policy has you covered. Let me be perfectly clear, it almost certainly does not. The moment you start accepting money to let strangers stay in your property, you've transitioned from personal use to a commercial activity. Most standard homeowners' policies have a business activity exclusion clause, which means if a guest slips, falls, and sues you, or if a party gets out of hand and causes significant damage, your insurance company can, and likely will, deny your claim. This could leave you personally liable for hundreds of thousands, or even millions of dollars in damages and legal fees. It's a risk that can bankrupt you. You need to have a serious conversation with your insurance agent. Be completely transparent about your intention to operate a short-term rental. Don't try to hide it or downplay it. Your agent needs to know the full scope of your operation to find the right coverage for you. There are a few options here. Some insurance companies offer a rider or an endorsement that can be added to your existing homeowner's policy to provide coverage for occasional short-term rentals. This can sometimes be a cost-effective solution, but you need to read the fine print very carefully to understand its limitations. It may not be sufficient for hosts who rent out their property frequently. For most serious hosts, the best and safest option is to secure a dedicated commercial or business insurance policy. Specifically, you're looking for a policy designed for landlords or vacation rental owners. These policies are built from the ground up to cover the unique risks associated with running a rental business. They typically include broader liability protection, coverage for property damage caused by guests, and even coverage for loss of rental income if your property becomes uninhabitable due to a covered event like a fire. Yes, this type of insurance is more expensive than a standard homeowner's policy, but the cost is insignificant compared to the financial devastation of an uncovered lawsuit or major property damage. And what about the insurance offered by platforms like Airbnb's Air Cover? While these programs are a great secondary layer of protection, you should never, ever rely on them as your primary insurance. Think of them as supplemental coverage. They have limitations, exclusions, and the claims process can be complex. Your primary line of defense must always be your own robust commercial insurance policy. This is what protects your actual assets, the property itself. Having your own policy gives you control and peace of mind, knowing that you are protected by a contract that you have read and understand, with an insurance company that you have a direct relationship with. Don't cheap out on insurance. It's the shield that protects your entire investment. Here's a critical point that many hosts miss. Getting legal is not a one-time task. The world of short-term rental regulations is constantly in flux. It's a dynamic and often politically charged landscape. What is perfectly legal today might be restricted or even banned tomorrow. Cities are constantly debating, revising, and implementing new rules in response to housing shortages, neighborhood complaints, and pressure from the hotel industry. You cannot simply get your permits, pay your taxes once, and then set your business on autopilot. You must stay informed and adaptable to survive and thrive in the long run. Your responsibility as a business owner is to keep your finger on the pulse of your local regulatory environment. A great way to do this is to subscribe to your city council's newsletter or meeting agendas. Pay attention to any discussions or proposed ordinances related to housing, zoning, or short-term rentals. If you hear whispers of potential changes, don't ignore them. Attend city council meetings, either in person or virtually. Hearing the debate firsthand gives you invaluable insight into the concerns of your community and the direction lawmakers are leaning. Being proactive allows you to anticipate changes and adapt your business strategy accordingly, rather than being caught off guard by a new law that puts you out of business. Another powerful strategy is to join local host groups or short-term rental alliances. These organizations often exist to advocate for responsible hosting and to keep members informed about regulatory changes. They can be an incredible resource for information and support. By connecting with other hosts in your area, you create a network that can share knowledge, best practices, and early warnings about potential legal challenges. There is strength in numbers, and being part of an organized group can give you a collective voice in local politics, helping to shape regulations in a way that is fair and sustainable for responsible hosts. Don't try to go it alone. Find your local community. Ultimately, compliance is about more than just avoiding fines. It's about building a sustainable and resilient business. By staying on top of the rules, you position yourself as a responsible, professional operator. This not only protects you legally, but also builds goodwill with your neighbors and local officials. When new regulations are inevitably proposed, the hosts who have a proven track record of compliance and community engagement are far more likely to be seen as part of the solution, not the problem. This proactive approach to legal compliance is what separates the short-term opportunists from the long-term successful real estate investors. It is the bedrock of your entire Airbnb enterprise. All right, moving on to rule number 2, and this one is all about your mindset. If you want to succeed, you have to stop thinking of yourself as someone just renting out a spare room and start thinking of yourself as the manager of a small, boutique hotel. This mental shift is absolutely crucial, and it influences every single decision you make, from the furniture you buy to the way you communicate with guests. When you're just renting out a room, you might think it's okay to leave your personal photos on the wall or your collection of half-used condiments in the fridge. But when you're running a hotel, that's completely unacceptable. Your property is no longer your personal space. It is a commercial product designed exclusively for the comfort and enjoyment of a paying customer. This means you need to adopt a philosophy of radical depersonalization. Your guests are not coming to stay in home, they are coming to stay in home, even if it's just for a few nights. They want a clean, neutral, and inviting space where they can relax and create their own experience. They don't want to feel like they're intruding on your life. This means removing all personal clutter. That includes family photos, children's artwork, stacks of mail, personal toiletries, and any clothing or items from your closets. The goal is to create a blank canvas. The space should feel welcoming and stylish, but generic enough that any guest can mentally move in and feel at home. Think about the experience of checking into a nice hotel. The lobby is clean, the staff is professional, and the room is immaculate. Everything is designed around the guest experience. You need to replicate that feeling. Every element of your property should be chosen with the guest in mind. Does this sofa look nice? Or is it actually comfortable for someone to sit on for a few hours? Is this coffee maker easy for a first-time user to figure out? Are there enough outlets near the bed for guests to charge their devices? You have to constantly put yourself in your guests' shoes and anticipate their needs and potential frustrations. This customer-centric mindset is the foundation of five-star hospitality. This shift isn't just about aesthetics, it's about professionalism in every interaction. Your communication should be prompt, polite, and helpful, just like a hotel concierge. Your cleaning standards should be meticulous and unwavering, just like a hotel housekeeping service. Your response to problems should be swift and solution-oriented, just like a hotel manager. When you fully embrace the mindset that you are operating a hospitality business, you elevate the entire experience for your guests. This leads to better reviews, more repeat bookings, and ultimately, a more profitable and sustainable business. It's the difference between being an amateur and being a pro. Now that you have the hotel manager mindset, let's talk about furnishing your property. This is not the place to offload your old mismatched furniture from college. Remember, you're creating a product, and the quality of that product directly impacts the price you can charge and the reviews you'll receive. Investing in quality, durable, and stylish furnishings is not an expense. It's a strategic investment in your business. Your guests are paying for an experience, and that experience begins with the physical environment you provide. Cheap, flimsy furniture not only looks bad but also breaks easily, leading to constant replacement costs and negative reviews when a chair leg snaps or a drawer falls apart. Your primary focus should be on creating a space that is both beautiful and functional. Start with the most important item in any rental, the bed. Do not cheap out on the mattress. A comfortable bed and a good night's sleep are consistently one of the most mentioned items in positive reviews. Invest in a quality mattress, high thread count sheets, a variety of pillows, both firm and soft, and a stylish, durable bed frame. The same principle applies to the main seating area. Choose a sofa that is comfortable, easy to clean, and sturdy enough to withstand heavy use. Think about materials like leather or performance fabrics that can resist stains and wear over time. Beyond the big-ticket items, it's the thoughtful details that elevate a property from good to great. Ensure you have ample lighting, including bedside lamps for reading and task lighting in the kitchen. Provide plenty of storage, like a dresser with empty drawers and a closet with hangers, so guests can fully unpack and settle in. In the kitchen, don't just provide a random assortment of pots and pans. Equip it with a complete matching set of cookware, dishes, and utensils. Include essentials like a coffee maker, a toaster, a microwave, and basic cooking supplies like oil, salt, and pepper. The goal is to anticipate what a guest might need to feel comfortable and self-sufficient during their stay. And remember, every piece of furniture and decor should be chosen to appeal to a broad audience. Stick to a neutral color palette for the walls and large furniture items. You can add pops of color and personality with less expensive, easily replaceable items like throw pillows, blankets, and artwork. This creates a sophisticated, cohesive look that photographs well and appeals to a wide range of tastes. Avoid overly personal or niche decor styles that might alienate potential guests. Your property needs to be a chameleon, able to feel like home to a business traveler one week and a vacationing family the next. This strategic approach to furnishing is key to maximizing your booking potential. If there is one area where you absolutely cannot afford to cut corners, it is cleanliness. In the world of short-term rentals, clean is the bare minimum expectation, and anything less is a catastrophic failure. A single stray hair, Alright, so you've followed the law to the letter, you've set up your property like a 5-star hotel, and now you're ready for the bookings to just roll in, right? Wrong. So many people make this colossal mistake. They think that just because they have a great space, the Airbnb algorithm will magically send a flood of guests their way. Let me tell you right now, that is not how this works. You could have the most incredible, underpriced, perfectly located property in the entire city. But if your listing looks amateur, nobody is ever going to click on it. It's the digital equivalent of having a beautiful store hidden down a dark alley with no sign. You have to understand that your listing is your storefront, and the first impression is everything. This brings me to what is, without a doubt, one of the most critical investments you will ever make in your short-term rental business: professional photography. I see people spend thousands of dollars on new furniture, fancy coffee machines, and high thread count sheets, and then they try to save a few $100 by taking pictures on their iPhone 6. It is financial insanity. Your photos are the single most important factor in getting a potential guest to stop scrolling and actually click on your listing. They are doing the heavy lifting 24/7, selling your space to people all over the world. Bad photos instantly communicate that you're an amateur, you cut corners, and your property probably isn't as good as you claim. Think about it from the guest's perspective. They are scrolling through hundreds of listings. What makes one stand out? It's the visuals. Bright, sharp, well-composed images that make the space look inviting, clean, and spacious. A professional photographer who specializes in real estate or architecture knows how to do this. They understand lighting, angles, and composition to make even a small room look appealing. They use wide-angle lenses to capture the entire space without distortion, and they professionally edit the photos to make the colors pop and the details shine. This isn't just about taking a picture, it's about crafting a visual narrative that sells a dream. The return on investment for professional photos is absolutely massive, and frankly, it's not even a debate. For an investment of, let's say, $300 to $500, you can see a dramatic increase in your booking rate and your nightly revenue. Better photos attract more clicks, which tells the Airbnb algorithm that your listing is popular, which in turn boosts you higher in the search results. This creates a positive feedback loop that leads to more bookings at better prices. If you take away only one thing from this section, let it be this: do not, under any circumstances, skimp on professional photography. It is the bedrock of your entire marketing strategy. Okay, so your stunning professional photos did their job. You got the click. A potential guest has landed on your listing page. Now what? The next hurdle is your listing description, and this is where so many hosts drop the ball yet again. They either write a single boring paragraph that just lists the number of beds and bathrooms, or they write an incoherent novel that nobody has the time or patience to read. You need to find that perfect balance. Your description is your sales pitch. It's your one chance to connect with the guest, answer their questions before they even ask them, and convince them that your property is the absolute best choice for their trip. Your title is the hook. It needs to be catchy, informative, and optimized for search. Don't just write two-bedroom apartment. That's a waste of valuable digital real estate. Instead, try something like modern two-bedroom oasis. Walk to downtown, fast Wi-Fi, and free parking. See the difference? You're immediately highlighting the key selling points that different types of travelers are looking for. A business traveler sees fast Wi-Fi, a tourist sees walk to downtown, and someone on a road trip sees free parking. You are casting a wider net and immediately signaling value beyond just the basic specs of the property. Think about who your ideal guest is and what they care about most. Once you have their attention with the title, you need to deliver in the main description. Structure is key. Use short paragraphs, bullet points, and clear headings to make the information easy to scan. Start with a compelling summary that paints a picture of the experience. Don't just say what you have, explain the benefit. Instead of "there's a balcony," write "start your day with coffee on the private balcony, overlooking the quiet tree-lined street." You're selling the experience, not just the feature. This is where you build an emotional connection and help the guest imagine themselves staying in your space and having an amazing time. Finally, you need to be transparent and comprehensive. Anticipate every possible question a guest might have and answer it in your listing. Talk about the neighborhood, mention nearby attractions, explain the check-in process, detail the parking situation, and be upfront about any quirks of the property, like a walk-up apartment or street noise. Being thorough builds trust and reduces the number of back-and-forth messages you have to answer. A detailed, well-written, and strategically crafted description works tirelessly for you, converting lookers into bookers and setting the stage for a fantastic guest experience from the very beginning. This next topic is where the real money is made or lost in the Airbnb game pricing. One of the biggest and most costly mistakes new hosts make is setting a single, static price for their listing and just leaving it there for months on end. They pick a number that feels right, maybe by looking at a few other listings one time, and then they just set it and forget it. This is the equivalent of leaving piles of cash on the table. You wouldn't expect a hotel or an airline to charge the same price for a Tuesday in February as they do for a Saturday during a major holiday weekend. So why would you? Your rental is a perishable asset. An unbooked night is revenue that is lost forever. Welcome to the world of dynamic pricing. This is the strategy of adjusting your prices in real time based on supply and demand. Factors like seasonality, day of the week, local events, holidays, and even how far in advance someone is booking should all influence your nightly rate. A Taylor Swift concert coming to town? That's a massive demand spike, and your prices should reflect that. A random Tuesday in the off-season, you'll likely need to lower your price to attract a booking and avoid a vacancy. Managing this manually can be a full-time job, which is why I am a huge advocate for using a dynamic pricing tool. There are several great software options out there, like Price Labs or Wheelhouse, that integrate directly with your Airbnb calendar. These tools analyze billions of data points. We're talking competitor pricing, hotel rates, flight data, local events, historical booking trends, and so much more, to recommend and automatically set the optimal price for your listing for every single night of the year. They will raise your prices to maximize revenue when demand is high and lower them strategically to fill gaps in your calendar when demand is low. The small monthly fee for these services pays for itself many times over in increased revenue. Using a pricing tool isn't just about making more money, although that is the primary benefit. It's also about staying competitive and maximizing your occupancy rate. If your prices are too high, you'll sit empty while your competitors get booked. If your prices are too low, you're leaving money on the table and potentially attracting lower quality guests. Dynamic pricing finds that sweet spot. It allows you to operate like a sophisticated business, making data-driven decisions instead of guessing. If you're serious about running a profitable Airbnb, embracing dynamic pricing isn't optional. It's absolutely essential for long-term success. In the world of Airbnb, reviews are the currency of trust. They are everything. A collection of glowing 5-star reviews is the most powerful marketing asset you can possibly have, and it costs you nothing but your own effort. On the flip side, a few bad reviews can absolutely cripple your business, sending your listing plummeting to the bottom of the search results and scaring away potential guests. Your number one operational goal after getting the property set up should be to get a steady stream of positive reviews. This social proof is what convinces new guests to take a chance on your property. So, how do you get these crucial 5-star reviews? It starts by understanding that the review process begins the moment a guest books, not when they check out. Every interaction is an opportunity to build goodwill. Your communication should be prompt, friendly, and helpful. Your check-in process should be seamless. The property itself must be sparkling clean and exactly as described in your listing, or even better. Small, thoughtful touches go a long way. A welcome note, a small basket of local snacks, or a binder with personal recommendations for restaurants and activities. You need to consistently exceed expectations. Now let's talk about the actual process of asking for a review, because you can't just passively hope for the best. You need a system. Shortly after a guest checks out, send them a polite message. Thank them for staying, tell them you hope they had a wonderful trip, and mention that you've left them a positive review. Then, gently ask them to leave a review of their own if they have a moment, explaining that it helps you a lot as a host. This little nudge is often all it takes. It's important to understand Airbnb's two-way review system. Neither party sees the other's review until both have submitted one or the 14-day window closes. This encourages honest feedback. And what about negative reviews? It's going to happen eventually, no matter how perfect you are. The key is how you respond. First, take a deep breath and don't get emotional. Respond publicly to the review in a professional, non-defensive way. Thank the guest for their feedback, apologize that their experience didn't meet their expectations, and briefly state what you've done to address the issue. This shows future guests that you are a responsive and caring host who takes feedback seriously. A single, well-handled negative review can actually build more trust than having a flawless record because it shows you're human and you're committed to improvement. So let's bring it all together and recap the 3 fundamental rules for success that we've covered. If you ignore these, you are setting yourself up for financial pain, stress, and ultimately, failure. Rule number 1, the law is not a suggestion. This is the absolute foundation. You must do your homework on local regulations, zoning laws, and permits. You have to get the right insurance and understand your tax obligations. Trying to fly under the radar is a short-term game with devastating long-term consequences. Operating legally is the only way to build a sustainable business that won't get shut down overnight, wiping out your entire investment. Rule number 2, you're running a hotel, not just renting out a spare room. This is a crucial mindset shift. You're in the hospitality business now, and that means you have to professionalize every single aspect of your operation. From decluttering and investing in quality, durable furnishings to ensuring immaculate cleanliness, and providing a seamless guest experience with clear communication and emergency plans. Every detail matters because every detail contributes to the guest's overall impression, which directly translates into your reviews, your reputation, and your ability to charge premium prices. Your goal is to earn those 5-star reviews consistently. And finally, rule number 3, if you build it, they will not come unless you market it effectively. Having a great legally compliant property isn't enough. You have to invest in professional photography to make a killer first impression. You need to write a compelling, keyword-rich listing description that sells the experience, not just the space. And you absolutely must use a dynamic pricing strategy to ensure you're maximizing your revenue every single night of the year. Marketing isn't a one-time task. It's an ongoing process of optimization that separates the top earners from everyone else. Ignoring any one of these 3 rules is a massive gamble. And in the world of real estate investing, we don't gamble. We make calculated, informed decisions. But if you follow these rules, if you treat this like the serious business that it is, you're not just avoiding the common pitfalls and failures. You are methodically building a solid, unshakable foundation for a successful, profitable, and sustainable short-term rental business that can provide you with significant income for years to come. The path is clear, but it requires diligence, professionalism, and a commitment to excellence. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 rules surprised you the most, or which one do you think is the most overlooked by new hosts? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them, and it's always interesting to see what resonates with you guys. And if you're feeling motivated and ready to get started, or maybe you've already started and want to make sure you haven't missed anything, as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one.